this is something which is Graceful Restart, and as you can see, Graceful Restart is the way of like assuring like a high availability and assuring like better convergence within like the routers. And usually, if you have like those two devices are communicating with each other, we have like the control plane, and let's imagine that there is an IB BGP session or OSPF session between these two A and B, and you have maybe like the control protocol is stopped, so router A is not seeing router B, router B is not responding to its BGP messages or OSPF messages. This was created like a Graceful Restart. Instead of declaring that router B is down and start dropping all the traffic to router B, no, I will give it some time to make sure maybe this is just like a mop or something like a Swift problem and router B is still alive. So I'll keep the data flowing, and then I'll give this hold down time for router B to respond to my BGP. Let's carry on with BGP to respond to my control traffic. And if this hold down time expires maybe like 1 minute or so, then I will declare this router down and we will stop forwarding traffic to it. So it's a way also of high availability. It's come always hand to hand with what we call it non-stop forwarding. And also the hardware should support a stateful switchover. And for sure we need like your neighbor to support you. So let's say that the failure here, the opposite to the network, I was talking about router B having the problem, but here in the picture is router A having the problem, router B should support it. So you need your neighbor to support you. Maybe in the future, once we start talking about the routing protocol, there's like enhancements for this non-stop forwarding, which is called non-stop routing. But this will address it in another session. Yes.
Okay. So I think you talked about all that.
Yeah. Any question regarding this Graceful Restart?
I don't see any questions in chat. I know it's a little off topic, right? But it was included in the blueprint section, so we wanted to make sure we talked about it. Here's a second slide on Graceful Restart. These are similar features, so it's not just specifically the Graceful Restart, but go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah, it's just a similar feature which you need to be aware of when you design your network. It will help you into your achieving a better and faster convergence. Some of them like carrier delay, and as you can see here, carrier delay, like when there's a failure in a link, how fast you inform the upper protocol and inform the router about this failure. And I don't know, the old days, some of these devices was configured to wait for 2 seconds before informing the upper layer. So if there's a failure on layer 1 on the port, it will take 2 seconds. Now the recommendation is to immediately inform the device on the down status. On the up status, maybe you can wait for 10 seconds, 1 minute to make sure that everything is stable, and then inform the upper layer. This is some recommendation when it comes to the BFD. Even if some devices support 15 milliseconds, you don't know about the other devices. Also, the distance would be like a huge difference. It's like, as example, if you configure BFD like in 15 milliseconds, but for campus you not face that, but for the WAN you will face it. So you have to be smart choosing the BFD time to make sure that you allow some time for the packet to go and come back. Also, you need to enable interface dampening, some of the things which you can do in the switching layer and will really improve your convergence and load sharing. As we mentioned, something like VSS, bundling, doing prefix summarization. This will improve your memory and utilization. And as I mentioned, using HSRP with BFD. And finally, NSF, non-stop forwarding, non-stop routing, and Graceful Restart. So guys, we are trying to be a bit faster to make sure we cover this point. But as we mentioned, if you like this session, and please comment on, give us some comment on LinkedIn and so on. We will keep this like a regular session, maybe as we discussed, take every month or every couple of weeks.
Yeah, so on that note, right, Mohammed, I've been talking about doing a regular session monthly or bi-weekly or something. And it really just having a dedicated time block, also multiple time zones to accommodate, where you live and where you are, so that we can just keep coming online and giving you information, right? So you get used to when we're coming online, you can schedule it. and we can tell you the topics, and then you can tell us what you want us to cover too. So let us know, right? Like you said, comment on LinkedIn, send us a message, join. We have a Discord server if you want to join there too. It's zigbits.tech/Discord. And you can talk to us live, have real conversations too. Feel free to reach out anytime. I'm gonna go forward here. There were some questions, Mohammed, in there. One I'm gonna highlight is with dual supervisors, is BFD not recommended?
Usually in big networks, like you have when you have your apartment or your house, you have multiple looks, so you don't rely on one. Even with Graceful Restart, with a lot of mobs and the routing, some people say we don't need BFD, but better to keep it on the background. It's happening on the line card, and some situation it will work if there is a problem on the control plane. So there is a failure, but the control plane still believes that your neighbor is up. So usually BFD can help in this situation. So usually, as I mentioned, it's always good to keep it, especially if you have a big network and you really worry and care about your availability. The second question, what will trigger the Graceful Restart? As I mentioned, that one of the router noticed that there is no response in the control traffic, while we still can see that I can still use the data traffic to send to this customer, to this router.
Awesome. All right, so I jumped in here to our last real slide here.